to all Uganda. Oh, people. Wildlife Day seasons, Wildlife Day seasons. Peace and joy to all Uganda. Oh, people. Wildlife Day seasons, Wildlife Day seasons. Peace and joy to all.
And I request one of the beautiful couples.
We lay our future in thy hand, united, free from liberty, together we'll always stand. Yonder the land of freedom, our land and fire we give. And our own us all at our country's falling peace and friendship with thee. Uganda, the land that feeds us by sun and fertile soils grow. For our own dear land, we shall always stand apart of Africa's crown.
Entitled Wildlife. Be blessed as you listen.
Wildlife Day seasons, Wildlife Day seasons. Peace and joy to all Uganda. Oh, people. Wildlife Day seasons, Wildlife Day seasons. Peace and joy to all Uganda. Oh, people. Wildlife Day seasons, Wildlife Day seasons. Peace and joy to all Uganda. Civil servants, community members, visit us now as a word for you, a word concerning our environment. Join the struggle, we have to win. Civil servants,
I'm Galima Stephen. I'm standing in for the Director of Natural Forests, National Forest Authority. At my jurisdiction, I'm the Range Manager, Eastern Region.
You're welcome.
I'm Wakamuti Abazi, representing the Province of Veterans in Chester.
My name, I'm called Robert.
Welcome.
James Kwame, Pastor in Spanish. I will be for you in Spanish.
Thank you for being with us. Do we still have more teachers behind there? Yeah, introduce yourselves.
To see you people from Tororo getting interested in environment and the students have even served for us. And I think that we're going to have a fruitful meeting here, sign an MOU, and work to see that humans and wildlife live in harmony. Not only in Tororo, not only in Bugiri, Busia, or Namayingo, but everywhere in Uganda. So thank you so much for coming, and let's interact afterwards. Thank you.
I know everybody is now updating the message to deliver. And we are aware now we have known each other. But Uganda Wildlife Society is a non-governmental organization working across Uganda. We are some good years old in Uganda, and really we are making some changes in the entire country. Do not take it for granted. You have heard what these people have said. If you know how to summarize things, they were saying that without environment, then we are not worth it to be there. Once you ignore environment, you are ignoring the creation. They had so many questions. They asked, can we live minus animals? Can we live minus birds? Can animals and birds live minus ourselves? Or can peasants and farmers live in the absence of the environment, the entire environment? What about water? Do you care for soils? These are the questions asked. You can now take this opportunity to think twice and answer those questions. After answering, we are bringing in presenters. They will be brief. What we want from you is to pay attention. Seek for guidance, clarifications, ask questions, they will be answered. Go back and implement. We conserve our environment. Wildlife Society, we are working in Western. We have been working in Western, and now we are crossing over to Eastern part of Uganda. In Western, we have been working in Bulisa district, Hoima district, and Kasese district. We have reasons why we chose these districts. And it was worth it. Don't ask questions, why not Bundibujo? In the eastern part of Uganda, Bwanakao, don't question yourself. Why 3 from the other side and many this side? There is a reason why. In the eastern part of Uganda, we are in Tororo district now, Busia, Ujiri, Namayingo, and Mayuge. We want to begin these activities. We wanted the key players to be here with us today. They signed this MOU with us, and we begin business. And I know you will enjoy the fruits of this organization if you are interested in it. Ladies and gentlemen, I once again welcome you to this dialogue. As I told you, I want to invite Dr. Adonia to come forward and give your presentation. And don't forget to tell us why you were a doctor. If I feel a headache, can I come to you? Or what? You are most welcome.
Conflicts between human beings and wildlife. And I saw it in my topic today. I asked what causes that conflict. And I found that there are animals who normally come and visit local communities and they leave an impact and creates conflict. And also realize that there are sometimes human beings, when they invade the home of those animals, their habitat, and either stay there or destroy them or convert them, and then they have a conflict. So my topic is about management of animals. So in my presentation, there are notorious or troublesome animals in Uganda. Some are highly protected, some are vermin, as we shall see. One of them is an elephant, a bush pig, a baboon, a monkey, and so many. But I know here we normally have a crocodile, a hippo, and a baboon in the forest of my friend. So they normally cause a problem. So some animals are highly protected, others are not protected. Some are antelopes. When they invade the crops, people don't even have time to inform us. They just do what is necessary. They end up in a pot and then in a bread, and nobody will even complain. But there are those animals which are not easily taken into that process. So those ones, you hear an outcry. Animals get out to where the communities are staying, and they are able to destroy the farms, the property, sometimes injure. So people retaliate by killing wild animals. And once we get those kind of reports, then as a wildlife officer, I come in and I end up arresting. Now, that's already a conflict. The reasons why human-wildlife conflicts are more common today than in the past are very clear, as we shall see on our population. Because when you look at your village, 20 years ago, and check the number of people who are in your village, you will find that there are very few. So we have increased the human population, making wildlife areas an island. Actually, if you go to this forest, you know, sometimes it has different names. Your forest, which is very close here. Busitema. Right now is an island. The university has surrounded it. And the major challenge we have is now a city coming on Kenya border towards it. That is even more dangerous. Then the gardens on this side. So it's already an island surrounded by agricultural land, human settlement, and urban centers. We compete with wild animals for space and resources. People have lived now in wetlands. So the Statunga, which is retired in a wetland, has no space. The forests are being converted either into a settlement area or agricultural land. So that causes also a conflict. Inadequate capacity of local people to deal with the problem. As we shall see, basically the law allows local governments to deal with vermin. But when you go to the district, there is no even a focal person responsible for, in some districts, some they are tried, responsible for a case like when they report about a monkey has eaten crops or something like that. So, or somebody who can even pick a phone and call Uganda Wildlife Authority to come and attend the problem. Loss of habitat. When you look at the forests, we are getting them lost at a very fast rate. we are losing forests. And those forests are having those nice, beautiful birds, the beautiful ladies we are talking about. They end up not having anywhere to stay. Then inadequate information and communication. If a leopard came to this village, people don't quickly get information how they can deal with a leopard. A lion. The other time we came to the street, people, there was a hyena which was roaming around next to Tororo here. People were not aware of what they should do. Some of them were losing buttocks because they are just around. Because they don't know. So we have inadequate finance. As an organization, our staff are few. The amount of money to deal with some of these problems is not all that available. Because somebody will be reporting about a crocodile, another one in Western Nile is reporting about elephants, somebody is reporting this, and another one is reporting that. So we don't have enough financial resources, one, to control the animals, two, to build the capacity of the districts to deal with the problem. Another problem that we are getting is issue to do with monitoring and record keeping. Sometimes a neighbor's cows can destroy crops, and then the guy says, the herd of buffalo has destroyed my crop. By the time you go, you find the garden already destroyed, and you cannot easily assess whether it was livestock or wildlife that destroyed the crops. Categories of these animals which cause conflicts. There are in two categories. We have a category called vermin. And vermin, these are baboons. They are those baboons with their... Yes. They are olive baboons. Vervet monkeys. The vervet monkeys are gray with black face. And they are very common. And then we have bush pigs. These ones looks like home pigs, but for them they are a bit wide and stronger. They normally come and they make serious destruction, especially when it comes to crops. These animals, they multiply very fast. If you are given 20 vervet monkeys in this compound, if you come the next 2 years, they will be in hundreds. They multiply very fast. Two, their population in wild is not all that highly endangered. And therefore, they were gazetted vermin. And what does that mean? It means, as we shall see, that the local government, the districts and sub-counties are supposed to deal with them. Then we have highly protected animals, and some are even endangered. Like a mountain gorilla is highly endangered. But it goes out, and we are supposed to protect it seriously. It goes out, and then it injures people, crops are eaten, then you get a problem. So there are two categories. Vermin, their conservation status is low, but they are also a nuisance. But we also have animals which are highly protected, and sometimes the population is low, but they also go out and destroy crops and cause havoc to people. The way we deal with these two categories of animals is a bit different. The ones which are highly conserved and those less conserved, sometimes the interventions may differ, as we shall see. But where do we get powers to deal with this problem? We have the Uganda Wildlife Act. And in that act, it allows sustainable utilization of wildlife. In other words, that we can use wildlife to improve livelihood of the people. And it also empowers the executive director and the board to enter into a collaborative arrangement with individuals, with a group of people to conserve wildlife, even to manage part of the protected area. So why I'm bringing this is to tell you that it is possible. Uganda Wildlife Authority, the districts, the local communities, to enter into a collaborative arrangement and manage these animals so that they don't cause problems. The Local Government Act, I think it is the second schedule in that law. One of the functions of the local council is to manage vermin. the 3 animals I've talked about: Orf baboon, Bovate monkey, bush pigs. So the districts are empowered to manage those animals. And therefore, this forum is the right forum where we are sitting to see how can we manage these animals which have really caused havoc to the local people. Of course, even at the sub-county level, the law allows the sub-county councils, again, to deal with vermin, to deal with local hunting, fishing, and other conservation activities. The institutional framework, if you have these problems, how can they be solved in terms of institutions? Of course, Uganda Wildlife Authority has the mandate to conserve wildlife within and outside protected areas. Wherever it is in the Republic of Uganda, they're supposed to. And Uganda Wildlife Authority, of course, is guided in terms of policy by the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife, and Antiquities. And to make this work easier, the protected areas in Uganda were aggregated into 7 major conservation areas. In this region, we have Mount Elgon Conservation Area. It looks at Mount Elgon National Park and the wildlife around it, Pianuke Wildlife Reserve, Maseriko, and Pukora. From Tororo Busia to Kotido is the one aggregate. So we have others, Chubare and what I will not go into it because time is not our ally. Now, in these CAs, the HCA has a manager, and under manager, they are wardens or officers, and with different departments. So this problem, animal, whatever issue, is handled by her department, community conservation. So she always receives the letter. Here, hippo has come, and baboons have done what she's ever moving to attend to this kind of problems. Now, with this kind of forum, with the district, now she will have contact people, and I think will be able to solve the problem. At the district, we have district environment committees and local environment committees at sub-counties. And we are lucky. We have a political arm, I think in the Secretariat of Environment and Production. I think they used to call them, I don't know whether they are still called Environment and Production. Councillor for Secretary for Production and Environment at the district. And that is the natural resources. Okay. So these ones now can work with us and will be able to solve a problem. The law also allows us to appoint honorary wardens. People who have done very well to conserve wildlife, the organization can appoint them honorary wardens, and those can also be contact persons. I'm not sure whether we have a honorary warden in this region. And the law is also giving us an avenue for forming wildlife committees at the district level, the district wildlife committees. Now, I'm here to tell you what are these interventions that we have really implemented to make sure that really people don't suffer. Intervention number 1, and which I think this project which is coming is trying to help us, is wildlife enterprises. These wild animals which are disturbing you, to attach an economic value to them, so that communities can get some income out of these animals. And there are very many enterprises that you can form using wildlife. One of them is tourism-related enterprises. Accommodation. Actually, like these baboons, I don't know whether we have trails in that forest. And the people who want to go in and maybe to enjoy nature, they come in, and there are people who are guiding them and interpreting. The only thing people, the chance they have, in most cases, is to throw bananas to baboons, and that's it. But we can really organize it and get enterprises, and people will be able to generate income. The intervention number 2 is translocation. Translocation is about transfer problems. So the people of Pujiri complain, the crocodile, have a problem, a crocodile, then our team comes, tie the crocodile off to another place. in most cases, to protect the area. That is an intervention that also we have really done. One time we even transferred elephants from Uwero to Machiso. So you remove a problem, you take it somewhere else. Then we can also use live fences. This is what a community can do. There is a tree, and I normally see it in a compound. It's called Mauritius solid tree. If you plant it along the garden, human beings, even animals, cannot even pass through. And at worst, you can use a wooden fence. And I will show you where it has worked, because our problem is that we can't see pictures. But I have all those photographs. You can put there is a way they do it, wood to wood, so that even pigs, when they want to come, they will find it not easy to go to the garden. I have put it here, but I don't know. So, oh, do you see it? Yes. Because I wanted to show you the wooden fence that was used around the Kuburo and stopped the baboons from disturbing the banana plantation. And the guy is busy harvesting bananas. You call it Cicerpenia? Yes, Cicerpenia. I don't know how can you translate it in the local language here, people to understand. These are also sunny trees. Once you plant them around, you cannot see. I will give you, I think those who have sticks, you will take this presentation so that you see those pictures, because it's unfortunate that we are unable to see the pictures. And in Rekumbura again, somebody had a banana plantation and he planted it. Even a baboon cannot even jump and go into the garden. But you cannot see this. These are pictures. You cannot see them. In Chebare, we have been able to encourage people to plant non-preferred crops. The baboon will like bananas, maize, and some other crops, because you are living here with baboons. But now instead of planting maize, you plant coffee. It will never come. Actually, in Chebare National Park, people have planted tea. And around Uganda, for gorillas, tea. So it will move in the tea leaves, it has nothing to eat, and it will go back and they live with them. We are also digging trenches for bigger animals like elephants. Digging trenches around the protected areas. And this helps to stop these elephants to jump on such a kind of deep trenches. But a baboon will jump, of course. So each intervention, every intervention cannot solve a problem that is exposed by animal at hand. You have to make sure to identify appropriate intervention. So for baboons, for monkeys, we use those sunny plants around the gardens, and they stop the animal from moving in. For bush pigs, you can use very strong wood materials to make a fence, and you will protect your crops. Then in some areas we use red chili, piripiri, kamrai. I don't know the language here. Chili. You just get the oil from this mechanical stuff. The oil is they remove from cars. You just get your cross, mix a lot of kamrai in that oil, put the cross, hang it around. So animals like elephants will not come to where the kamrai, the smell is coming from. Scare shooting is an option, and selective killing of troops. Selective killing of troop leaders is done to the family. Baboons. You know, baboons are like human beings. They have the commanders, and this commander is always moving by this thing if there is any problem, and he's the one to determine wherever they go. They can say, "Let us go to Joseph's garden." So he's the one to say, "Okay, this time it is Joseph's garden." Then after that, then he said, "Let us go to David's garden." He's the one commanding the movement. So you put him to rest. Yes, you make him rest, and then they will be disorganized. Who is now a boss? So it takes them like 6 months to organize, to get another dominant person to come and what? Yes, the person in the okay, but yes. So that is also a method, but we apply it especially on baboons and vervet monkeys. And even bush pigs, when you do it, you get the results. We are encouraging people to protect the habitats. I was happy with one time when one of our ministers said, am I a frog to live in a wetland? I think he was being accused that he has put a structure. He said, I'm not a frog, why should I be in a wetland? So we are also encouraging people, please, leave the wetlands, leave the forest. Because once you leave the forest, the confrontation will not be there. I will give you just a secret, my experience. I was still an officer in Kampala, and community conservation, the office she's heading, and I got somebody called from Sejuku. It was a mountain here. You come, the snake has invaded. Now when I reached on the site to go and help the guy, I found out it was not a snake that invaded the man. It is him who invaded the snake. Because they had cut the forest. It was real forest with trees, but they had put up a building and they had sleeping and they said, is it a snake which invaded? They said, yes, last night. They said, but you are the one who invaded this. This snake. Of course, I ended up helping him. So sometimes we also have a problem to the challenges as an organization. As I told you, the challenge number one is population. Poverty. Human settlement around the protected areas. I will not call it political interference, because it is political interventions has also become a problem. So people invade the forest, don't touch my voters. It is a big problem. Wetland, don't touch my voters. And this one has really caused or intensified the conflicts between us and wildlife. Now this graph, I think, you can see some picture of that graph here. That graph, if I can come closer, it shows us our population. And it is on a 10-year interval. In 1955, we were 5.158 million. 3 weeks ago, I had the guys of Bureau of Statistics were celebrating that we are now 37. And in the next 30 years, I think we may celebrate to be above 100 million Ugandans. But the land is static. The forest reserves, their size, they are not changing. National parks like Mount Elgon, they are not changing in size. Actually, people are pushing it. They are shrinking. So that alone is a source of a conflict and a big challenge for us. Initiatives that we have put in place to help. One initiative which I wanted to start with is, where is Dr. Nyandoi? Yes, she's there. She has now initiated a project. Actually, when I was transferred here, I found it a problem. You would tell people revenue sharing. They say, what is revenue sharing? You tell them sport hunting, they say, what is sport hunting? Many of these initiatives, and it's a problem of colonialists, all protected areas in the West. A few remained here. And even those which remained here, including Mount Elgon National Park, people don't understand its value. So for them, they see this is wasted land, should be maize garden actually. So that was a major problem. Because in the West, you find, when I talk of tourism-based, community-based tourism project, you will find people managing campsites, accommodation facilities, guiding people in their villages, and it is earning money. But here, when you talk, people will not understand. So I'm happy with our effort that we have now started a project that will help us to utilize these wild animals who were yesterday our problem to earn income, which we will use to improve the livelihood of the people. I think that's a very good one. Number two, in other areas we have used user rights schemes. And many of you, if I ask that, is it possible for a human being to own an animal, you say, that one will be the one to arrest us. The law allows you to own animal, to manage animal. Through sport hunting, hunting where you pay money. And a lot of money. 2, or male animal which has been chased away from a herd, which can no longer have any chance of enjoying sex. In other words, which can no longer produce. It is redundant in the ecosystem. It is waiting for the hyena to enjoy, or any predator to enjoy, or to die anyway. So if somebody removes just a hole and pays you $5,000. That's an income. 2, ranching. But here I think ranch cannot happen because I see land here is not a. But as the farm, we have 2 guys in Kampala who are farming butterflies. Just pick a few butterflies, provide them sugar and what, and then you see something glittering in Europe, money. It is possible. Butterflies, these butterflies. In our place, if you tell you that you can get money out of butterfly, people will think you have a problem. You need to know. But it is possible. It is possible. We have farming, we have trade. These snakes you are crying of, they have a lot of money. But you need a license. So you need to contact Uganda Wildlife Authority. I will give you contact if you are interested in that business, and they will give you contact of the office you want. You go, you apply, you are in business, and you earn money out of wildlife instead of killing. Then another one which is common, as I told you, is community-based and ecotourism projects. If I had means, I would take you to Chiware National Park. There was a wetland. It was there, birds flying around. The communities organized themselves. They put a boardwalk, wouldn't see where people walk. They created guides. Now that activity alone has built secondary schools, has built projects. People are employed. You see, university students are going to be employed by a community. And those birds are highly conserved. Here in Chiware, if I had means, I hope I will ask you, through this project, we may ask to go and visit. And you see, just the wetland, boardwalk. People say, and what do they come to see? The wetland itself, and birds and what? And you pay money. And meanwhile, these communities have made T-shirts and what? So, people, you go there, you buy T-shirts, you want a kofira, you are paying them, you want food, they have a hotel, you eat, you want sleep, they have accommodation, you are paying them money. So by the time you leave, you have left a lot of money. Wherefore, all partners who are present here, we need to work together to save wildlife resources. We need to restore degraded parts of the habitat, the wetlands, the forests. We need to work to restore them. We need to sensitize the local communities and the general public on management of wildlife-based enterprises. I think now that we are going to work together, we are going to give you some guidance on how we do these enterprises. How can the district really benefit from this? And from there, we disseminate the information and we save the animal. We need to promote PPP, public-private partnership. And of course, problem animal conservation that we have talked. We need to support neighboring communities to identify alternative sources of livelihood. And I think this is very serious. People are depending on land, and land is static, and people are multiplying. We need to see how they can survive out of. We need to touch the local communities, in other words, from land through education. We need to promote wildlife conservation. And lastly, we need to put in place mechanism for record keeping. People report this one. And after when I was coming here, I wanted to know the magnitude of the problem. But I found I had scant information. I said I cannot present this. So because the information was so scant and could not come up with anything. 2, precautionary measures. And we are happy that now we have radio programs. I think we can go on a radio program and say, this elephant which has attacked this village, please behave like A, B, C, D, E. Because we have seen a situation where they call you, a buffalo has invaded the community. Then you find communities with spears following a buffalo. And in the process, some are injured, some. Recently I had it in one a leopard. Bring your leopard. So we had to go on the radio, please, this leopard, avoid it, give it space. The guy said, we are almost the man. My grandfather killed it. By the time we reached 10 of them were already serious. We had to take them to hospital. 10 of them. And after when we said, please, 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 it is going to finish. Then they started listening because they had already seen some victims. Until we left the leopard, and eventually it systematically went back to the forest, and it is no longer. So people need that kind of information to deal with dangerous animals. With that, I wish to end here. Thank you very much.
Ethiopia, where the local people in Ethiopia have something like this. They have put mechanism where tourists can come, pay money. They have people who can take them up, and when they come down, they have to spend. So what am I trying to say? This is a resource that can earn you what we call adventure tourism. So with those few remarks, I'm going to go to the next session of where I'm going to invite someone from Uganda Wildlife Society to come and present. And in the meantime, I could say briefly that let the district, because I'm happy there are 5 districts, the right people are here. This project is coming to Tororo. Please, let's use this opportunity to be able to see how we can solve this. So let's catch up to the main things, and then we can be able to see how we can move on.
Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, I'm Teddy Zamilimu, the Research and Conservation Officer with Uganda Wildlife Society. And my presentation is going to be introducing you to the project, what we expect to do under this project, the stakeholders we'll be working with, and what we expect to achieve at the end of the project. The major basis of this project is that we all know that natural resources contribute significantly to our economy, and the conservation of these natural resources and their sustainability is greatly affected by one, that is human-wildlife conflicts caused by problem animals. And sorry I didn't take you through the title of this presentation. It is all about strengthening capacity for managing human-wildlife conflicts caused by problem animals. And we will be working in a number of districts, and we have some representatives here. We shall be working in the eastern and the western regions of Uganda. If we look at human-wildlife conflicts, they are mainly caused by resource competition, that is between the problem animals and the people themselves. If you look at the incidences of crocodile attacks in Mayuge, it's greatly attributed to overfishing by the fishermen. The fishermen are trying to improve their livelihood, but at the same time they are decreasing the fish stocks that is meant to be food for the crocodiles. So at the end, these two, the animals and the people are competing for the same resource. We also have that weak capacities for problem animal management. The previous presentation showed you that institutions like UA themselves, they lack the capacity to manage some of these problem animals. So at the end, human-wildlife conflicts result into human insecurity, that is the attack we talked about, like for the crocodiles. Then they also lower livelihoods of the people, because they are competing for the same resource with the people. And at the same time, they constrain conservation strategies. What we plan to do under this project as Uganda Wildlife Society and you, the stakeholders here today, we look at strengthening capacities for the problem animal management. Here we are looking at communities and institutions like NFL, local governments, and CBOs. Under this, we shall be having capacity building trainings, where we shall be training people on how to handle these animals. Then we shall also maybe carry out exchange visits, look at where some of these problem animal management strategies have worked, and try to pilot this, test them, and see if they can work in some of the areas we are going to be working in. We also look at initiating community-based conservation enterprises. This could include like sport hunting for the Statungas. This will bring about conservation, and at the same time it will improve people's livelihood. We also look at designating wildlife habitats. Some local communities are not aware of these habitats, but maybe crocodiles are in these areas. So if we maybe put up signposts to sensitize people that be aware of crocodiles in this area, they could be able to keep away from these areas. We also look at crocodile caging to avoid contact or interaction between the people and the wildlife. We shall be setting up demonstrations, like some Dr. Adina talked of the trenching in Queen Elizabeth. If it has worked there, can we demonstrate it in some of the other areas where we have problems with elephants? So we shall be carrying out demonstrations in the different districts that we shall be working in. Then at the end of the day, the lessons and experiences from these problem animal management strategies will be used to influence policy through advocacy and policy dialogue that Uganda Wildlife Society convenes. Implementing this project, we won't be working alone. We will be working with a number of stakeholders, and this table mainly shows the stakeholders that we'll be working with and their roles. For example, Uganda Life Authority and National Forestry Authority, they will be participating in building capacities for these communities and promoting the models that we will have identified to work in these areas. Then the local governments, this is the District Project Steering Committee. We expect you to help us in mobilization, capacity building, providing technical staff. You have a number of technical people, the natural resource officer, the forest officers. So you'll be providing technical support to communities to try to adopt and implement these problem animal management models. Then the communities will participate in planning, designing, adopt, and at the same time implement the problem animal models. Policymakers like ministries and the parliament, we expect you people to adopt the lessons that we will have learned from this project and use them to develop and implement appropriate policies for problem animal management. The role of Uganda Wildlife Society is only to facilitate action. We shall be there to facilitate the trainings, participate in planning some of these models, then capacity building, planning and facilitating these capacity building trainings. And at the end of the day, we shall use the lessons to advocate and influence policies for better problem animal management. What we expect at the end of the project. At least 8 communities in the 8 districts that we are going to be working with should be knowledgeable on the best practices of problem animal management. Then their capacities should also be built at the end of the project
that is the capacities of the communities and the institutions that are responsible for conservation. We also expect to have at least 8 problem animal management models established, piloted and established in these districts. Then the lessons and experiences learned will be used to influence policy on better problem animal management strategies. Those are some of the references that we visited to prepare this presentation. Thank you.
I think you should give her another clap. You realize that she's 1.5 persons, haven't you?
Two in one.
It's not easy. So that's why she deserves that clap.
Okay.
I'm going to invite the discussant, who is not only a friend of mine. We work together, and I was happy to learn that he actually is a native here. Mr. Moses Mapesa, come and give us some highlights.
When I look at the topic, it's about people, it's about wildlife. And from Adonia's presentation, there's some conflict. And he has said, and April saw together with UWS, that we have to address this conflict and outlined some ways in which this can be done. I want to challenge your minds a little further and bring you down to Ororo, Mayuge, Ugiri, Usia. What is it that can be done? Yes, a number of examples have been given from within the country, and I might be able to add on 1 or 2 from outside the country. But in your minds, at the back of your minds, I'd like all of us to keep thinking of what is it that we can do here to make the things we're talking about a reality, to actually stem the conflict. In Adonia's presentation, he kept referring to livelihoods. And I want to put it in a shorter version. Wildlife is wealth. It's a source of wealth. And like any source of wealth, it generates conflict. And it's that conflict that we must address so as to benefit from its value. When I say it's a source of wealth, the question is, what's this wealth we're talking about? I'd like you to look at these animals in the same way you look at livestock. If you're thinking about the wild birds, I want you to think about the chicken, the turkeys, and the ducks. I want you to put your mind frame in the same way, when you talk about the birds out there, which come and eat our rice fields, the sorghum, the millet, just think about the chicken, the turkeys, and the ducks, which also can do a lot of havoc to our crops. I've seen many people struggling with their chicken when the beans or even the genus are flowering. These days I see the Ministry of Health Nets are doing a good job. Stopping the, When you think about the baboons, the bush pigs, the statunga, the hippos, I want you to think about the goats, the sheep, and the domestic pig. I think there's a very little difference between the domestic pig and the bush pig. So those guys can be really terrible. When they get into your potato garden or your cassava garden, I'm talking about a domestic pig. we value them, don't we? And we make money out of them. Because as a small boy, I used to look after goats. God, it was a terrible task. Sometimes I would tie these things in, until 4 to avoid the problematic experience of having run around with them. But even that could earn me chiboko. The gods are not blessed them. So, when you think about these wild animals, think about livestock, and think about those birds, think about the domestic fowl. How have we been able to harness wealth out of those livestock with minimal conflict? Because the conflicts are there. How have we been able to resolve them? Can we apply some of those techniques in a similar fashion with this wildlife? So, wildlife, the source of wealth, has a value. The institutions, or the national institution mandated to manage wildlife, is saying we can work together. The law actually allows us to work together. You know, some 20 years ago, I was the warden of Mount Everest. And when I was having a chat with Chris Buckner here, he was surprised that Adoni has jurisdiction all the way to this area as well. One of the things that I struggled with at the time, the wildlife duties of the warden, Mount Elgon, ended with a park. Here. There were animals in these places, and they're still there. Ones that everybody knows about, and there's also the statunga, the one with the horn. That horn is usually used at our traditional dances. I'm sure some of you know that. Who knows the local name of the statunga? I'm looking at some old people here, and some young people as well, in any one of the languages. Let me ask the one from Busia. What do we call it? From which animal? I'm not about the statuga. Those from Busia. What do we call it? Enjobe, that's correct. And the horn, which is the yembe, is used as a musical instrument. And I love it. Every time that instrument is played and I'm there, I will jump up and down. Moreover, I have a bad back. You know? Now, who knows about the meat of this animal? Feel free. This guy, we already agreed. He's not going to as you can see, he doesn't have enough charisma. The meat. The meat of this animal. I can guarantee it's very sweet. And the animal itself is very easy to hunt. It lives in the swamps, so it was very abundant, and many of you would know, in this Malava swamp, all the way from Bugisu through to Soka. It was very abundant, and kept producing. And it lives in the swamp. Except for the rice, most of our swamps are still relatively intact. And as I told you, it's very easy to hunt because it likes to perch on ant hills. And so our traditional spearmen know how to find it. It's also very common in the swampy areas around the shores of Lake Victoria. So from Manjanji all the way to Mayuge, Namaingo areas, that animal is available. Now, ask Adonia here. That animal is very much sought after by very rich, wealthy Europeans. And all they want is that same horn that we also use as an instrument. And for them, they pay several hundreds of dollars to do that. For us, we get the horn for free, and we play it, and If the guy is lucky, you will give him 1,000 for playing the music. You know. Now, the good thing about that horn also is that you can use it for generations. I have seen those horns that are older than me. You know, and I'm just 50 now. And the horn still looks strong. So it can be used for another 50 years. So we can satisfy the needs of our traditional musicians while also satisfying those Bazungu who are ready to pay hundreds of dollars to take the horns. Now, for them, they will take the horn and they will do the meat. So we can actually enjoy the meat. Ourselves, we can also sell the meat. You know, the price of wild meat is 2-3 times the price of the beef you buy in a butcher. So that's an example of an animal that's here, that you know, that can generate the wealth. So we are not talking in abstract. These things are real. They can be done. Now, the other animal, the statuga is not a problem. Insects being hunted. But the other animal which is a big problem here is the crocodile. I know my friends from Mayuge and Namayengo anxiously waiting to hear some answers about this crocodile.